A patient in Munster is receiving national attention as he continues to recover from a disease that has killed dozens overseas. The first case of Middle East respiratory syndrome coronavirus, known as MERS, was confirmed at Community Hospital in Munster on May 2nd. The man became ill about 3 days after returning from a trip to Saudi Arabia. Officials at Community Hospital say the patient continues to improve each day and is in good condition. Preparations are being made to move the patient to home isolation until he is no longer considered an infection risk. Community Hospital CEO Don Fesco said the patient was in a private setting at all times and did not pose a risk to other patients or staff. MERS was first reported in Saudi Arabia in 2012. Since then, the World Health Organization has confirmed 489 cases of MERS respiratory infection and 126 deaths. The Ileana Corridor project took another step forward this week. Officials with the Indiana and Illinois Departments of Transportation signed an agreement outlining each state's responsibilities concerning the proposed Ileana toll road. The 47-mile-long highway would connect Interstate 55 near Wilmington, Illinois, and Interstate 65 near Lowell, Indiana. Under the agreement, Indiana will provide between $80 million and $110 million in state and federal funding, while Illinois will commit at least $250 million. The remainder of the $1.5 billion needed is expected to come from private firms working with the states. The project is currently awaiting federal approval, and state officials say having the agreement in place now will help the states attract the best investments and therefore benefit taxpayers. An Indiana judge has made a ruling recognizing one Indiana couple's gay marriage. Chief Judge Richard L. Young has granted a preliminary injunction to Munster plaintiffs Nicole Kwasny and Amy Sandler that would indefinitely extend the order recognizing their marriage. Kwasny and Sandler were married last year in Massachusetts, one of 17 states where gay marriage is legal. Kwasny has terminal ovarian cancer. The couple argued that there is an urgent need to recognize their marriage in order to allow Sandler and the couple's 2 daughters to collect death benefits, including Social Security. The judge's ruling orders the Indiana Department of Health to list Sandler as Kwasny's spouse on any future death certificate. The order does not confer or authorize legal recognition of same-sex marriage to any other Indiana couple. The Office of Indiana Attorney General Greg Zeller says the state plans to appeal. Indiana's primary elections were held this week. With no statewide offices on the ballot, voter turnout was unusually low, about 11% in Porter County and 12.8% in Lake County. Porter County Commissioner Nancy Adams lost her bid for re-election to political newcomer Jeff Good, while County Councilman Jim Biggs retained his seat by only 11 votes. Karen Conover and Michael Jessen will also move on to the November election, and Sheriff's candidate Dave Reynolds won Porter County's only contested Democratic race. In Lake County, Jerome Prince beat out Michael Troxel in the assessor's race, and Roosevelt Ellen Jr. held on to his commissioner's seat. Incumbents David Ham, Elsie Franklin, and Christine Sid also move on to the general election, while Jamal Washington prevailed in the District 3 council race. Calumet Township trustee Mary Elgin lost her bid for re-election, and voters narrowed down a field of 17 candidates for Calumet Township Board to 3 Democrats and 1 Republican. In the Lake County Sheriff's race, current Sheriff John Bunsich won his race for re-election with 48% of the vote. He moves on to face Republican Dan Bursack in November. Following his victory, Bunsich stopped by the Lakeshore Studios to talk about the results with regionally speaking host Steve Walsh.
This week, John Bunsich was nominated for a second consecutive term as the Democratic candidate for county sheriff. This is the second time the veteran officer has been a sheriff after serving 2 terms back in the 1990s. Sheriff, welcome.
Thank you.
So during our primary night coverage this week, we had veteran columnist Rich James on, and he said that he thought you have changed a great deal since you were sheriff the last time. Is he right?
I believe so. I've, the first 8 years, especially the first 4 years, 95 to 99, I was learning the ropes and was a young sheriff, considered a young sheriff at that time, and trying to understand the budget system and the operations of a very large department. So I feel I have matured in the office.
Are you different as a manager now?
I have take a very much closer look at what's going on, and having inherited some certain problems within the jail itself with the Department of Justice issues, I think I've had to go into that direction.
Are you different as a campaigner, though? I noticed during the primary, you accused Oscar Martinez of, he had to write him up when he didn't complete some reports, and he disputed that. Are you still as tough as a campaigner?
Well, I mean, I've been through several campaigns, both as a candidate and also as involved in other candidates, sheriff's candidates' campaigns, and issues come up, and I feel that you have to address some of these issues that really affect the thoughts and the minds of the voters.
When you look at the other candidates in the primary, Richard Ligon, Oscar Martinez, do you see people that will be, could be sheriffs in 4 years after, let's say,
Well, I mean,
second
our theme was that this we can't afford to have a learning process right now. With the situation, with the issues that face the sheriff right now, if a new individual came in that's totally unaware of what's going on with the operations, it's going to take at least a year and a half before they can get their feet wet. And I think that's what's sold with the public and the voting public this time, is that let us continue what we've started, and it's going to equate to saving the taxpayers' dollars.
Is this it for you? Is this your last attempt at public office, do you think?
Oh, probably, yes.
Why is that? You don't want to be congressman? You don't want to be...
Right now, I just want to be the sheriff. My career is law enforcement, 41 years in law enforcement, and that's what I'm happy with right now.
You just want to wrap things up as a police officer? Is that the end?
I want to get things done, again, get this situation with the jail. It's a very tedious job right now that we're having to work with the Department of Justice. They're coming back here again in a few weeks for an extensive inspection. So we're preparing for that.
You're largely in compliance, not in complete compliance at this point. Is it a pledge for the next 4 years that this jail will now be out from under DOJ supervision?
We've made huge strides. So we are in 3.5 years now, we're 65% there. And I intend to, within the next year to 18 months, be out from under this.
A year to 18 months?
A year to 18 months.
So less than 2 years?
Yes.
Well, Sheriff, I think that's where we're going to go ahead and leave it for right now. I want to again congratulate you on your nomination.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you.
The State Board of Education is set to hold a special meeting Tuesday to talk about the federal government's warning that Indiana could lose a waiver for No Child Left Behind guidelines. Losing that waiver means risking the state's flexibility to spend millions in federal funds. Superintendent of Instruction Glenda Ritz was in East Chicago this week to talk to parents in one of her first public forums since the waiver meeting was announced.
It's very important that parents become aware of what those requirements are.
At the Echo Community PTA meeting Wednesday at East Chicago's Central High School, parent Sheila Coles came seeking answers.
My experience with the past Common Core standards were supposed to have been the top, national and international comparison. The new standards, I'm not sure where they're standing.
Changes in academic standards for public education approved in April mean a quick turnaround of 3 months for Common Core standards to be phased out of the classroom.
The new standards will be, they're in place already. The teachers are starting to see them and review them. We'll be putting out resource guides and information and transition on how to make sure that they go smoothly from what the standards that they were working on to the new college and career ready standards for Indiana.
Cole says she came to hear State Superintendent Glenda Ritz speak at the PTA meeting to get details from Indiana's top education leader.
It is the first time that Indiana actually has involved higher education and career experts in looking at our standards K-12 to be sure that they really are going to prepare children for college and career.
But the new standards, she didn't really specify too much about what is the English and language arts standards? What are the math standards specifically?
A copy of the new Indiana academic standards available on the Department of Education's website say the standards ensure college preparedness, quote, as defined in Indiana's processes, end quote. Last week, this letter sent from the U.S. Department of Education to Ritz's office said Indiana's waiver from the No Child Left Behind policies are contingent upon showing the new state standards are as challenging as Common Core.
Standards, assessments, and accountability. And those are three areas that have very high stakes in Indiana. And so I've been afforded the opportunity to work within the system to be sure that we're headed on a good path with those. And I can tell you I'm very excited about the path we're heading on.
Cole says she's concerned the state-created standards won't make the federal cut.
The United States federal waiver, that was not addressed thoroughly, okay? With the standards being pulled out, what recommendations they have to follow from the federal government. It wasn't clarified as to, okay, we're waiting on approval for the new standards now.
In a statement, RIT says her department is prepared to fully comply with the federal waiver. The department has been given 60 days to address the federal concerns. On a local level, we turn to Lakeshore reporter Sarah Holst with one education program being called a success.
Thanks, Hillary. While officials debate college-ready standards, some high school students are proving they're more than ready for college. This week, Ivy Tech Community College honored 7 high school students who will graduate this spring with both a high school diploma and an associate's degree. I met with a few of the students before the event to find out more about the dual credit program that's turning teenagers into college graduates.
Naisha Kennedy says when her family moved to Gary a few years ago, she became a student at 21st Century Charter School by mistake.
I kind of came to 21st Century by accident. We were just coming from almost enrolling me into Bowman Academy, and we got lost on the way home. We had just moved to Gary's. We found 21st, and Miss West was really nice. She told me that with my grades, I could be part of this program. And we took the opportunity.
Now 17 and about to graduate, Kennedy is headed to Ball State University, but not as a freshman.
They plan on taking all my college credits, so I might be qualified as a junior when I get there. So I only have to do junior and senior year, then I'll be graduating from college again when I'm 19.
Kennedy earned 65 hours of college credit while still in high school through the dual credit program offered in partnership with Ivy Tech Community College. The program allows students in more than 300 high schools across the state to take free college courses. While most students take just a few courses, a small number earn enough credit for an associate's degree before receiving their diploma.
They're going to leave with a degree or technical certificate that will transfer to IU or Purdue or Ball State or Indiana State University. So going in as sophomores or juniors, depending on how many credits they've earned. So that's the ideal model for dual credit.
4 students from Whiting High School and 3 students from 21st Century will be graduating this spring with a diploma and a degree, including Arene Bandy.
Well, at first it was just about taking college credits, and then I later realized that we can graduate with a general's associate's degree, and I always want to be more advanced and more than the average person, so I wanted to take that opportunity and chance to be a part of it.
Shakira Burks is also graduating with an associate's degree and plans to pursue a career in engineering.
I will be attending the University of Wisconsin-Madison for environmental engineering. I really want to enter the Engineers Without Borders my junior year, and I plan to do intramural sports.
Educators at 21st Century Charter School say small class sizes and strong support networks help make their program successful. This year's graduating class has 34 students.
I can actually pick up the phone. I'll have time to pick up the phone and say, hey, such and such is, having a hard time. Can you tell me what's going on? Or you know what, she's slacking, she's kind of messing up in class, or she's doing well. Whatever that is, I can be able to have that relationship where I can call you, and when I say, hey, it's Miss Tony, oh, hey, how are you? They know who I am.
You have a personal interest in the students, and I'm talking about the staff, the faculty, the principal. You know them. That makes a difference instead of getting lost in big numbers.
I had positive people around me and people in the school to help me and tutor me with things I didn't understand.
Thomas Coley is the chancellor for Ivy Tech Community College's Northwest and North Central regions. He says the dual credit program continues to grow as more educators and parents learn about the chance to save both time and money in college.
We've gone from 70 students to, 600 students in a period of 3 years. So it's people are more and more seeing that there's a value to it. The schools themselves see as an opportunity for certain groups of students who can take advantage of dual credit and excel, and they want that opportunity for their students.
As for this year's graduates, the girls say they're looking forward to college with a sense of confidence.
I feel I'm more than ready, like almost kind of cocky. Like, I got this. Yeah, I don't know if you do, but I got it. So
It's heartwarming when you see people who come from humble beginnings achieve and have the confidence that they can achieve just as much as anyone else who had the opportunities that they didn't have. So that's been my greatest reward, to see those young faces look at our future and say congratulations, and you've done a good job.
2 of the girls are finishing up their last courses this week, and all 3 students plan to participate in the graduation ceremony next month. Well, speaking of spring, the spring concert of the LaPorte Symphony Orchestra is right around the corner, and John Kane has all the details in this week's edition of Eye on the Arts.
Hi, joining me for this edition of Eye on the Arts is Philip Bauman, Music Director of the Northwest Indiana Symphony Youth Orchestra. And Phil, for how many years have you been doing this?
I think we're almost getting up to about 10.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I just thought it was even more than that, maybe, like ever.
Ever? Well, it's been quite a while, but it's been an enjoyable journey, and every year brings new challenges. And this year we're having a spectacular end of our season coming up on May the 18th, Sunday afternoon.
Yep.
Monbeck Auditorium, a new location for the youth orchestra to have a concert. And we're delighted to have on our concert a couple guest artists and a choir. So we have lots of variety on the program.
And this is the spring concert, obviously.
This is our spring concert.
And who's the choir? What's the choir
Well,
coming
we have
from?
the Wirt Emerson Concert Choir with Marion Boynes coming to direct them on an a cappella number, and then we're going to close out the concert with combined effort. And this is the second time they've been our guest, and we came off really well the first time, and we've had a great association with them, and so we're delighted to bring them along. And we're also going to feature 2 young artists who are featured winners of our concerto competition. And this year is the first time since I've been around that we've had 2 winners. They really knocked the socks off the judges, and we arm wrestled as to what we should do with it, and they said, let's have both of them play. So Dominic Davis is going to play French horn on the first movement of the Strauss Horn Concerto, and Alicia Dejarski is going to play violin on the first movement of Summer, Vivaldi's Summer Concerto.
So this was a competition within the youth orchestra?
Yes, anyone who's in the youth orchestra is eligible to compete in January for this competition.
So how do you get in the youth orchestra?
Well, we have auditions. We have an audition coming up this end of the month, May 27th and 28th, Tuesday and a Wednesday, so they can call the office or go online. And we are in need of all instruments, particularly trombones, violas, and this year we've had a great number of basses with us, so we're delighted with that. And the makeup fluctuates from year to year, but the end of the month is when we'd like to have people come and audition for us.
And it's not just concerts and rehearsals, it's also going to Europe, I understand.
Absolutely. We're so excited. Going to Austria and Germany, and being part of the Salzburg Cantus Festival at the end of June. So, yeah, there's some great opportunities for people who join the youth orchestra and going on trips and going to Europe. This year is one of those great benefits.
And you're going too, obviously.
Obviously. I'm very excited about that. I've not been to Europe, so I'm looking forward to it very much.
Well, good. Well, have a great concert and a great trip, and thank you for being here to tell us about it. And thank you for watching. We'll be back again next week with another edition of Eye on the Arts.
Ever dream of taking a beautiful piece of high-powered machinery for a quick couple of laps on a quest for that checkered flag? Well, we're off to the races on this week's Jump in the Lake.
All right, so the cars are small, but the fun isn't.
We're in beautiful Valparaiso, Indiana at King Hobbies and Raceway, and we're going to be racing some mean machines on a dirt track. Okay, what kind of a car am I going to be driving today?
We're in this little Traxxas rally car today, battery operated. Out of the box, these things will do 30 to 40 mile an hour.
Wow.
If you put a bigger battery in it, you could probably get it 60 mile an hour. The
Holy
shell is just a plastic body, just so it looks like a vehicle. The rest is
So
underneath.
this is it. This is what we're
it.
racing.
This is full 4-wheel drive, battery operated.
All right, well, let's see how this bad baby runs.
Okay. You ready?
As ready as I'm gonna be.
Okay, here we go.
So,
Okay, right hand. And a little bit.
woo!
A little bit of gas goes a long way.
I see that. Whoa. So, this is the track.
Yes.
It's actually quite large, and I guess I should have figured that out given how quickly the cars travel. You can't have a little track there.
We got race 4 up now, 4x4 short course. It's going to be Larry LaBelle, William Hobbs, Max Bowling, Larry Lonsberry, and Chris Lineberry.
You know, this is what we consider club racing, where it's just the locals that come out and just come out for fun, have a good time.
A lot of families, I'm noticing.
Family type thing. We try to make this a family environment here, so we watch the language and the activities.
So we've gotten to see a bunch of races, some incredible drivers, and these cars are just amazing. Jim, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to talk us through this, for teaching me how to drive. My God, you have a lot of patience. I had so much fun doing that.
That was good. Looks like a lot of fun. And I agree with you, the track seems much bigger than you would expect. When you hear RC car, I'm thinking very small.
That's what
tight.
I thought. I was thinking they were going to be little bitty cars like this, and I also didn't expect that they would go as fast as they did. As you could see, they were jumping and careening around curves.
The action shot.
Wasn't that cool?
I felt like I was in the action.
But the thing that was very difficult for me is that not only did I get to drive it a little bit there, but on the web version you can see I actually drove it a little bit longer, and the acceleration is pretty extreme and the steering is fairly delicate. So any tiny little adjustment you make here is magnified exponentially on the track. And I can't lie to you, I was a horrible driver, but I had a lot of fun.
Tiny machines, but did I see some grandstands there?
Yeah, they've got grandstands, and also for the drivers, you are actually up above the track looking over. So you're above the crowds and you have a really clear view of your car and the other cars on the track and everywhere you have to go. So it's a great thing, and they do races a couple times every week, I think.
Wow.
So.
Very neat.
It's a great thing.
Right.
So, Sarah, what are you working on for next week?
Well, I'm hoping to meet up with a few local divers. They are volunteers who, many of them have been doing this for years, decades in some cases. They use their own gear and they assist when there's a rescue or recovery effort here in Lake Michigan. Hoping to meet up with a few of those gentlemen and hear their stories.
Okay, and Hillary?
That's really interesting because I've heard of volunteer firefighters, but never that kind of
And most people don't know that they're volunteers. That's why, like I said, good to get their perspective. So.
Well, also along the lines of public safety, I'm going to be talking to a local group who's really concerned about safety for the youngest citizens in the area, and talking about bullying and violence prevention and those sort of things to ensure safety for the next generation.
Great, thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you next week on Lakeshore Report.